the answer.
On Channel 4 now, to Mallorca as Crawshaw paints on holiday.
There's a big bunch of oranges in there. They're huge.
I'll say, yeah. Bigger than the ones that we saw back there.
It's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? Oh, they're a bit steep. Look at that. Oh. They're lovely, aren't they? Walks by the stone.
Hello. We've come to an orchard today. Oh, it's a fabulous place. We're on the plain and we're surrounded by mountains and the sun's out and it really is glorious. But what's taken my eye? Look at those trees. Aren't they funny? We've got a Christmas tree, a funny tree in the middle, and a lollipop tree on the right-hand side. They're all together. It's amazing. Now, the reason I'm going to sketch them is not because they make a picture, but because I shall remember them. I shall sketch them and always remember them. And I'd never see three trees like that, odd trees, if you like, all in one position together. So I'm going to sketch them.
Well, I've discovered this gorgeous area full of poppy trees with this, what looks like a pineapple, but it's really a palm. And I've decided that rather than go and do the mountains that Alwyn's doing, although they're really gorgeous and very grand, I thought I'd rather do all these lovely poppies. So I'll do a bit of drawing, but I'm not going to do a tremendous amount of drawing. There's rather a nice dark arch there, which will show the grasses and poppies up in front of it. So if I darken that, I'll darken it more with paint, but I'll just give a suggestion of dark and then I'll know what I'm doing. This here, that's stonework with some grasses out, and they're rather dark actually. So I'll just suggest that in because it's the poppies I want really. And this area all around the palm tree is one mass of poppies. So that's really lovely. And I'm going to make them slightly larger, I think, than they are because they're quite small and they want to be pretty large. And then this area is very, very dark, which would be rather nice with sort of grasses, I suppose they are. It's a job to see when you're squinting into the sun. And the shadow by the stones there is very strong. And then that, I think, is sort of stones and soil with other grass there. There's more poppies along there. That grass around about that stone, which I think should have come a bit further over, but it doesn't matter. They're all poppies there, poppies round there. I think I know sort of more or less where everything's going. I'll just put a few more suggestions of the palms so that I know where I'm going to put them, because they're quite massed there, which I can do with the brush. There's a huge one up there, one over there. I'm not going to draw the leaves in. I should do this as a mass when I paint it. That one round there. And I think really I can paint the rest of this, because it's all flowers and you don't really want to draw them all individually. So I leave that and put some colour on it, I think. Well, I think I'll start by putting that very, very dark under arch through, and then I'll have my dark established in the background, get all that with all the grasses. I have to leave enough white or else it'll look odd. Make sure it's dark enough too, because it's amazing. You mix a very dark colour and it's never dark enough. And a few bits down there just to show that there's grasses in front of an archway. Now I think I'll mix a little warmer, slightly paler colour for the rocks behind. Don't want too much colour there, but if you leave it white, it's going to leap forward. So I'll put a little more suggestion in the rocks maybe later on. I might not bother, depends. Put that up there. Oh, I must remember to leave the poppies, because if I don't leave the poppies, then the whole point of the painting is completely gone. So we've got to leave these lovely, which I will leave white, and then I'll put them in red afterwards. Looks a bit dark, yuck. Not so brilliant, that one, but I might put a little bit more blue in it after I've put some of this in. And then you get a variation of colour. At the moment, the sun is tremendous and you've got all this shadow. Ooh, that's horrible. Yuck. Too much green, a little more red in that, I think. I'll just put a few fawns, and then, of course, you can distinguish them a bit more later. And I'll put a little yellow in amongst those two. Where the sun catches them, it's quite yellow. And possibly a bit of blue too. Trouble is you get carried away, and then of course it all begins to look a bit over the top if you're not careful. Palm trees aren't the best shapes to paint, I'm afraid. That was all rocks all down there, which was a bit pinkier, so I might make that pinkier later. That was, let me see, got to do a few rocks in here, which I should just put a suggestion of colour because they're very, very pale anyway. And some more grass this side, and then I think we put the red of the poppies in and see what's happening. Oops, getting a bit hefty there. But there's so many of them that it's silly to do each individual one, so the idea is to just do masses of poppies. And then as they come closer, of course you can put them more, looking a little bit more like a poppy. Now we've got one or two up there, I noticed, which is rather nice. And then the odd little one in there. Actually, these might be a little bit strong because it's obviously they get stronger the nearer they come. So I'll take a little colour out of those. Mind you, don't forget watercolour always dries much lighter. So there's no need to worry about it. And now I'll put in the closer ones. That's a strange cry, just like a peacock, probably is. Let's see, I'll put those poppies in. If you put them in a sort of dancing shape, then you probably find that they look more like poppies. There's a few up the trunk of the pineapple tree. Wonder if Alwyn's finished his mountains yet. I'll have to go and have a look in a minute. They could be slightly less vivid because they're in the shadow. I might have to put a little shadow in those later. I've made the masses of poppies a little bit larger than they are because individually they're quite small. And as I say, I think I'll have to put some shadows in afterwards. Oh, they're waving in the breeze now. The wind's getting up now. Just do lots of nice, bright dots. And I think I might put just a few stems down them so that they look like, actually they've got green stems, but they tend to disappear anyway. Whoops. I can't put those stems because they're looking on top of you, so I'll merge the stems in a bit. I think I might put a little darker in amongst the pineapple tree, and then I think I might call that a day. Oh, the sun's come out again, that's nicer. I'll just put that little bit of dark up the tree to make a little bit more definition to it. Oops, too much yellow again. And they're down there, and I think I will call that a day now. And maybe just put a little darker shadow there. Then fiddle fiddle as usual. I think I might go and see how Alwyn's getting on with his painting.
Oh, these Spanish tomatoes, I could eat them forever. I love tomatoes, but these are really beautiful. Anyway, it's been a fantastic morning. I've done an oil painting of the mountain. I really enjoyed doing that. That was great. June did the poppies, and this afternoon I want to go and find an olive tree. I've got to actually walk out and up the hill a bit to find this olive tree, but I've had a look at them, and they're incredible the way their trunks go. They really are. And June's going to have a go at painting an orange, and she might even get the orange at the end of it. I don't know, we'll see. But this orange grove that we're in at the moment, it's the oldest one on the island. And some of the trees are 200 years old. Can you imagine? And they've still got fruit on them. I mean, it's incredible to think that. Anyway, after our picnic lunch, or what a way to have a lunch, isn't it? Under the sun and the sky. After that, we'll carry on and find our little bits to paint and sketch. In the meantime, I'm going to carry on with my orange. No, it isn't an orange. got oranges on the brain. Tomato.
I'm going to start the orange now, but it looks a bit as though it's moved the light, and of course I haven't got enough, I haven't done the stalk deep enough into it, but still I'll have to do that again later. Never mind, eh? Put a little bit of colour into that. It looks a little bit colourless. A little darker around this way, because that's the shadow side, but I would definitely definitely put some shadow on it anyway. So I'm just going to put a little shadow in round the top to sort of show where the stalk grows in, and I'm not going to put the dark dirty shadow. I'm going to do it in a dark sort of reddy colour, so that you don't lose the colour of the orange. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you can lose that lovely orange glow. Might put a fraction blue in as I get to the bottom. I think that a little bit there. And oh, I need a little shadow under where the leaf would be, or that wouldn't look natural. And I think I'll leave that. I think I'm happy with that. And I think I'm going to do something that I've always wanted to do all my life. Pick an orange. Oh, it's not going to pick. That is gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous, aren't they?
Yeah, what gets me is the way that the paths just go round and
Yes,
round.
and on
Mind
and
your
on.
head, all the way round. I'm in the olive grove that I mentioned earlier, and I must say it's cooler here. But how about this tree? How about this olive tree? It looks like stone, doesn't it? But it isn't. It's living, it's bark, it's wood. It's quite incredible. Anyway, I'm going to draw one. I don't want to draw that because it just looks a bit flat, but come on, have a look at the one I've seen. Come on. It's a weird one, isn't it? Just look at it. It's got a hole in the middle and two old branches, or trunks, if you like, that come out of either side. Anyway, let's take that one up there. We've got leaves that come around there. Then we've got one that seems to come off this side here. And then, oops, and away, runs away, like that. I'll tell you, they're a lovely silver colour. And when the sun hits them, they really are very, very pleasant colour. And the other nice thing about them, they're a cool colour, which is nice, especially when it's nearly always hot weather when you're looking at these, because naturally they grow in a hot country. So it's rather nice to... This is daft, isn't it? I mean, I ask you, look at that, a tree. I can't get over it. Still, never mind. Let's keep going. Up here we've got... I'm just looking at the level of that. That's about that level. We've got another, well, the branch turns round here. And then there's one that's being cut here. It's amazing why you wonder which ones they decide to cut. That goes up, ooh, comes round here and up round like that. I think I'll start to put a bit of shading in now. Just starting to get into this foliage, and I didn't want to put the shading in first down here on the trunk because I'd start to cover that or rub it with my hand as I worked over the top areas. So I'm leaving the shading at the top or leaving it at the bottom until I've done the shading at the top. Now that comes almost down. There's almost a light there just coming through. This is reasonably dark. It's got a twist in here, actually, like most of them have. They've all got funny twists and bends and turns all over the place. That goes up there. This one is dark under here. And I think it's, yes, I can see another branch that seems to come off it like that and just run on its way up there. Can't see it very well, but I'm not worried. There's going to be leaves coming around it. There's one or two small branches coming down there, coming off that area. And this goes dappled dark under here. In other words, we've got dappled shadowing as the sun is catching it and putting shadows on it. It runs dark into here. There, what I want to do now, just suggest some of the leaves. Now, this, when you're doing something like this, it can get a little tedious, just letting your pencil, it's almost your hand isn't shaking, it's in control, but you're almost trying to emulate leaves as you work. I'm hoping that I'm drawing them in the direction, this is what I'm trying to do, I'm drawing them in the direction that they're actually growing. In other words, these are sticking out in that direction, they were sticking out in that direction. And I'm not covering it all in because we've got to give the impression of light and shade, but it's just getting that feeling of something covered. In other words, you couldn't leave the trunks just by themselves. It just gives that impression. And when you come to the edges, just do them a little bit more carefully, almost as though you could draw individual leaves. This is where we start to go into our lovely deep recess there. There's a dark shape under there where it sticks out. It's a sort of big lump on there. That sticks out and curves round. And then before we put that middle in, which is really almost the last stage, making it dark in there, let's just put some of this. It is really all wrinkled and knotty, and I suppose it's knots that we get on normal trees. Normal trees, this is more normal than an oak tree, but it doesn't seem normal to me. Oh, there's a lovely, lovely dark that goes in there. Whoa, and it really, gosh, that is dark in there. That is real shadowing. Now, that's going to be the darkest part of all in there. It really is dark. When the sun comes out, because it keeps sort of drifting with a few wispy clouds, and when the sun comes out, it really does show that dark in there. It's a real shadow. Now, we've got lines that all run this way. They run all sorts of different ways. There doesn't seem to be any pattern to this. These are now running this way. And then they all go round and round, and then you've got another hole inside there, inside the hole itself, and it starts to go around it. It really is a maze of shapes and angles. You could go on doing these forever. In fact, when I was looking for these, or for this particular one, just looking around, I was spoilt for choice. And then we start to come out into this sort of funny type bark. That's it. Just coming round this corner where I said I'd seen it coming round. This comes round, and then we get it running along here more. Then it starts to come down again and into all these grasses that are growing up there. I'm just suggesting the grasses just to give it a base. There we are, I think. Let's have a look. Well, I suppose I don't know whether it's my drawing or whether it's a tree, but it looks odd, doesn't it? No, I think it's a tree. Anyway, how about that? It's been a fabulous day.